We're joined by Lesiba Tefo, political analyst from UNISA. He's in Pretoria for us this morning. Lesiba, a very good morning to you. Thanks for your time this morning. So just looking at the EFF's manifesto, 170 pages compared to the ANC's 68 pages, just to throw that in there. The feeling I'm getting just looking at analysis, looking at reaction to this manifesto, is that it has a lot of promises. It's promise after promise, but no sort of guarantee that this will happen or how this will be implemented should the EFF be in the position to do so.
Yeah, all right. Thank you and greetings to the listeners. Look, almost 170 pages. And I thought he was going to break the record of the longest speech ever presented after His Excellency Buthelezi. But at least it was a resume of those pages. And I think one of the beauties for me, because I was there then, is that in the main, for 80% of his presentation, he spoke in Sepedi or North Soto. And the audience indeed could understand and appreciate what he was saying. It was bread and butter issues, hence they ate out of his palm. And one of the things that I think the EFF can pride itself with and can speak a bit authoritatively on is that when it comes to education, they lead from the front. There is a youthful leadership, exemplary in terms of acquiring qualifications in welfare studying. Yesterday, I could hear people say, Mr. Hoodwork, what can you tell me? But today, he can stand on the platform and talk about education as a master student. And the people can look up to him, especially the young ones, that if he could do it from woodwork to a master's in philosophy, so it is doable, and we can do it. And when he says we cannot at least regard a 30% as a pass, what about the other 70%? Then you say, maybe this man is talking. When he says, you put up glorified high schools and you call them universities. And I agree with him here. If you go and look at the two institutions that are called universities that were born about 5 years ago in Mpumalanga and Northern Cape, it's a shame to even think about calling them a university. Put in resources there, personnel and infrastructure, then we can begin to talk about a possibility of a university. It's not only about buildings. It's about the caliber of the students and the academics and the supportive infrastructure you put in place. Well,
Prof, just in terms, yes, those promises when it comes to education, however, yes, you know, practical or more palatable it may seem, the EFF's plans about 1 degree, 1 job, insisting everybody would get a job. Again, the land issue being at the forefront of the EFF's agenda as well, but also the promise to change the constitution, but also questions around that about, you know, how would people go through a land claim process to recover land taken from their families if it was now owned by the state? Little things like that. I mean, is it not worrying or just taking it a bit to a different level to make these promises and ask, would the EFF be able to, where's the how as to how the EFF would be able to deliver on these promises?
Look, at one stage he was played to the gallery.
Yeah.
And I often say to them, informally and informally, that you know what you are saying is just political rhetoric, because once you assume the mantle of power, those things you are going to ditch them. They're like all other politicians. Like, yes, when you make education compulsory, I support that. But there is another sense in which people must understand compulsory education. Under apartheid, there was something that I understood the community to have made compulsory. When we saw a police van in our township would run away, a single man in uniform on a bike, when you see him, you immediately run away because he's going to force you to go to school. Alternatively, the yellow milo, they bundle you in the buggy and take you to school. And that spoke to the sense, the nation that says it takes a village to raise a child. So we can make education also compulsory by just ensuring that there is no child in my eyes who would not be in class at that time. The other one is an economic part. The other one is a political rhetoric. I worry less about it. Let's come back to the land question. When it comes to the land question, I often say, if you give the EFF the mantle of power tomorrow, they will immediately ditch most of the things they say about the land. Yes, I am for land reform and agrarian transformation. but this is my approach. Take land from at least absentee landlords who are out of the country. Take land from state enterprises. Take land from government. Before you can think about taking land, productive land, from farmers who have more than what one can call necessary. If you take that approach, even many people will support you, possibly including the farmers. And let's also not forget, when it comes to the land question, we don't even need to change the constitution. As Mutlante said, the ANC lacked the political will in the past 25 years to change to at least distribute land as they would have been enabled by the legislation. And the EFF is using this rhetoric, knowing that they've put them in a corner. Hence, the lack of will again to implement or at least to amend the constitution as now agreed to by the parties.
Okay, so some hits and misses there with the EFF manifesto. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. That's Professor Lesiba Tefo. He's a political analyst from UNISA and in Pretoria for us this morning. Well, from there,